New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Hey, look. Quiet on the set. It's Ebro in the morning. The beautiful Laura Stiles, Rosenberg, and the legend Jas Prince on the program.
Yeah.
Give it up.
Oh, yeah.
Book Tour J.
Yeah.
Book Tour J. The Art and Science of Respect, a memoir by Jas Prince. First, go pick up this book. Glad you coming by. You've done a lot of interviews before getting here, and the talk has been you stepping into this Drake Pusha T.
Yeah.
Which you, if you guys go get this book, you'll see that, I'm sure, you'll see that Jas Prince has been a part of a lot of defusing of things that could have been heightened throughout the years.
I would agree with that.
But what was it about you, what was so important for you to step into this Drake Pusha T conversation? Why was it so important for you?
I feel like it crossed the line of music. You know what I mean? I feel like it crossed the line of music with the disrespect when it reached his mother, it reached his father, it reached his sick homie. You know what I mean? I felt like that crossed the line. And with that being said, you know, a lot of people felt a lot of different ways about that, including myself. And I think some things, you know what I mean, when it get to that extent, you need to pull a plug on it and
so did you feel like that potentially Drake would want to escalate it outside of music? Did you feel like that, or did you feel like people who love Drake, Entourage and things like that might get?
Well, no doubt about people that love him. You know what I mean? Drake wanted some get back. You know what I mean? And he moved forward on getting get back. But it was me. You know what I mean? And my mindset that wanted to unplug it because, you know, I didn't even want him to go to that extent because he had to go somewhere that was out of his character. You know what I mean? He had to go somewhere that could affect, you know, our movement. And we ain't about a moment, we're about a movement.
I talked about that on the radio, that I felt like maybe this had something to do with the fact that, you know, while Drake has been in lyrical skirmishes before, right, his brand is about making hits. You guys have done business together, or your son, right? And so getting in down in the depths of this back and forth really doesn't benefit financially what you guys is trying to do.
Yeah, not only that, you know, this is something Kanye didn't want. You know what I mean? He called me. So, you know, this is something he didn't want. You know what I mean?
He tweeted that, right?
Before that, though.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? He let me know I'm a family man. You know what I mean? I don't want this. So, you know, with me, you know, one of my guys named Mike Dean.
Yeah, I know Mike.
Of course, yeah.
With Kanye. You know what I mean? With me analyzing the whole pie, I'm like, hey, you know, why say these things about to be said and destroy this man's livelihood? Why do this? We ain't about that.
And you felt like Drake was gonna hurt Kanye at that
no
level.
doubt about it. No doubt about it.
So is it true that there was a Drake Lil Wayne song created?
Well, I can't speak for the Lil Wayne song, but I do know Drake was moving forward by himself. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely appeared to me that there was going to be something.
Yeah.
And then here's my question for you. Do you think that between the time when Drake was clearly eager to respond and when you guys talked about him not responding, did you have to completely talk him down, or was he already starting to think maybe it doesn't make sense for me to respond?
No, he was ready to move forward. You know what I mean? And you know, when something like that is said about you, your emotions, your feelings is involved, and you know, I explained to him it ain't about emotions and his feelings. You know what I mean? This man has crossed the line where music is concerned, and I call it a pig pen mentality. You know what I mean? We can get in that pit and wallow and slop with him, or we can move on. We chose to move on.
Did you hear the song, the actual song that he had recorded?
No, I didn't. I heard the ingredients for the song.
Can you give a little background? Obviously, we'll move back and get into your amazing history with Rap A Lot and everything as well. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit for people who don't understand it, how the relationship, people know that, for people who don't know, your son, Jas, found Drake on MySpace, brought him to Houston, and then what has that relationship for you and Drake? I mean, he wrote the foreword in your book, so obviously there's a real relationship there. Yeah. What has the J. Prince Drake relationship been over the years?
Well, Drake is like my adopted son. You know what I mean? Of course, Jas Prince brought him into Houston, discovered him. My son was on tour with Lil Wayne, and I called him one day, and I'm like, hey, man, I don't want you out there hanging on tour like you're a fan and come home with no money. Tell Wayne you want to start a record label, you got $1 million, you want to start your record label, you need a partner. He called me back, Wayne was in agreement with that. I said, who your first artist? He mentioned Drake. I said, let me hear him. He played me some things I wasn't feeling, you know what I mean? I wasn't feeling Drake in the beginning. I'm like, man, you like this? Like, Daddy, this is the new sound. This is the new sound. I'm like, where you from? Say, Canada. So I'm like, oh, Canada. So I called some homies, you know.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah. I called some homies from Canada to check and see if the buzz was real, because my son used the word a buzz. I taught him about a buzz in Rap-A-Lot marketing meetings since he was this high. Mm-hmm. So he got my attention with that lingo. And true enough, it was a real buzz. Say, let's bring him in. Brought him in. Wayne didn't like the first song he heard on it. And Jas got creative and put him on the Millie beat with Wayne. And Wayne was like, who is this? Same artist, Drake. You know what I mean? And from there, they put him on tour. I say, let Wayne put his arms around him on stage. And bam, all hell broke out.
Yeah. Would at this point, I mean, you know, Drake has made so many hit songs. You as an elder statesman that have seen back and forth before, you step in and say, listen, we're not about this moment. This is a moment. Yeah. But our movement is bigger than that.
Right.
Where, when we go through this book that's available now that people could go pick up, The Art and Science of Respect, when and where in your life did you learn that? Because that's a gem that not everybody is gifted.
Well,
can you step close to me?
I learned that I made an agreement in the closet. I have a chapter in my book called A Closet. And in that closet, when I was in the streets, I was a praying street gangster. And I always asked God, I prayed and said, give me a sign before you take my freedom or take my life. And after receiving that sign, I had a conversation with God in the closet where I decided to walk away from the streets into corporate America. And I never looked back. And after that chapter, I have a chapter called The Biggest Deal I Ever Made. And that deal consists of walking away from corporate America to walking away from the streets to corporate America.
And so in this scenario, you know, for the fans out here who just want to see somebody, they just want to see the artist go at it, right? Yeah. They want to see the wrestling match. They want to see the gladiators, right? Yeah. You have a business with Drake, and you guys are making millions of dollars, and the album about to drop, and you got a book out. Is this something that you want young people to be able to learn from this moment? Because I think that's also another thing that's not being talked about, right? Like you're saying, you just saw a young black man and another black man. They did some lyrical sparring, right? Yeah. Now we start talking about personal stuff. It got beyond just lyrics. It got personal. Is that another thing that you're trying to share with young people?
Yeah, most definitely. This is like it went beyond sparring. This is like a prize fight or a boxing match where a man put on loaded gloves. You know what I mean? He didn't put something in them gloves, and he, you know what I mean, trying to really hurt a man. So, which we understand. I understand battle. You know what I mean? I'm for battle on a level playing field. But, you know what I mean, when, you know, me and you get into it, we having a fight, you see my mama, you jump on my mama, you jump on my daddy, and you know what I mean, my friend, different people that, you know what I mean, they wasn't in this.
I couldn't do it. I've been on this radio many times. You know, you watch the battles on the internet where they're 6 inches from each other's face, spitting and cursing and talking about each other. Yeah. I'm not built for that. I'm sorry. We fighting. Yeah. But then again, I'm not I'm not a rapper. You know what I'm saying? But, you know.
Well, did you feel at any time, did you say, because we agreed over here that although I really enjoyed the Pusha song, I thought the 40 line was too far. I thought it just was unnecessary.
But I also thought Drake talking about Virginia Williams, Pusha's fiance, was unnecessary too.
I was going to say, did you express that to Drake, that he sort of opened the door to a certain extent.
I think, you know, if you listen to what he said, you know, concerning her, it wasn't in a vulgar moment. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have had an issue if he spoke about his mom or spoke about 40 and it wasn't, you know what I mean, such a vulgar moment. You know,
It's because you believe it was the vulgarity of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
So in this book, we get the building of Rap-A-Lot, which it's funny because your name has sort of remained important and famous, I think, even among kids who don't necessarily remember the way we do.
Well, and they wear the Rap-A-Lot. You know, Supreme did the Rap-A-Lot collabo. I don't, you know.
Yeah.
You were. I'm sure they had to call you for that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your son was.
course.
I think they
your
did
son
more than
was
call.
like. I'm joking. I'm sure your son was like, Dad, this is a brand that we need to.
A lot of buzz here.
a lot of buzz on this.
Little Jas Prince, my youngest son, was behind that.
Oh, got it. Not Jazz.
Yeah, Jay.
Okay, so you're aware that the Rap-A-Lot logo and the brand is strong and reputable.
Yeah. That's something I started building in 1986, and
Who was the first artist that you worked with at all that led to Rap-A-Lot being what it was?
Raheem.
Raheem. This predates Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raheem was a group that I signed, solo group. I signed with A&M Records back in the day, and actually I took that money to create the Ghetto Boys.
Did you have an imprint with A&M, or it was just a deal for this for Raheem and that's it?
Yeah, just a deal for Raheem.
And how did Raheem get popping in Houston? Was it a thing or no?
Well, no, it wasn't as successful as I would have liked for it to have been, but it was a start.
And you got the advance.
Yeah.
So then how does tell us a little bit, and again, it's all in this book, which is out right now, The Art and Science of Respect, by Jas Prince. Tell us a little bit about the beginning of the Ghetto Boys and how it came together.
Well, the Ghetto Boys consisted of, it started off with my brother, Sir Rap-A-Lot. My brother got a 21-year sentence, went to the penitentiary. There's two guys left, Jukebox and Raheem. So I was left with that situation. I started the group because I didn't want my brother in the streets. I'm like, hey man, you do this rap stuff, stay out the streets. I'm gonna do what I do, and we have agreement here. Okay, he left. I found myself in a position where I had to keep my word with these. They was 18 years old, seniors in high school. These kids, I'm like, y'all do y'all thing, and I'll put together another situation. Long story short, that didn't work. So I researched Houston inside out and came up with Willie D, Scarface, and Bushwick. Three guys that didn't know one another, but came together under my tutorage, and we created the Ghetto Boys.
How did they get along at first?
They didn't. They didn't know each other. They didn't like each other. You know what I mean? But they were there, and they listened to what I had to tell them, because I had tried different things with other groups prior to doing the Ghetto Boys. I'm like, this is my last piece of money, so I got to do this my way. I got to do this with subject matters that I know will work in the street. Y'all make it rhyme for me. So, and that's what turned things around.
And so you had always been crafting musical concepts, just not an actual songwriter yourself.
Well, I wouldn't say always, but, you know, after listening to what they were trying, you know, through other groups, you know what I mean? I'm like, y'all trying to do some things and write about some things I'm living.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let me give you the real. Make it rhyme for me. Mm-hmm. It's a real story right here.
But how did you get into the business of music though? Where did that come from? What was the first initial step to take you there?
I think my love for music begun. I was what I would call a Motown baby. You know what I mean? I heard nothing but Motown songs all the time. From there, it was all about my brother and his love for music. So for him, I got involved from like a distance and allowed other people to live out their dreams while I financed it.
So there was you saw what Berry Gordy did maybe, or you saw these individuals, you know, 1986, what was that? That was BDP, Too Short. I'm trying to go around the country.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Was there anything in Houston rap? I think outside of Houston, we don't know what existed before you guys. So was there something you guys were watching in Houston?
Nah, No, it wasn't.
There wasn't a scene to speak of.
Were you looking at the other stuff happening around the country, New York scene?
Yeah,
the West
definitely
Coast?
New York, definitely Russell and Lear.
And the big tours would come to Houston, right?
Yeah, most
And did you go to any of those big
yeah.
rap arena tours?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet Lear, Run DMC. You know what I mean? I put Ron in his first Rolls Royce. Jam Master Jay put the first Rolex on his arm. So, you know, I knew all these guys. I was 20, 21 years old, but I know them.
Now, when you get into this book, y'all,
That picture.
Oh, hold on. Let's take this picture on the back.
that's the Rolls Royce, huh?
Oh, wow.
Ooh, feeler down,
Yo, man.
top to bottom.
This
You
is
was
so-
fresh. I mean,
What?
you still are fresh, but you was fresh. You fresh. You was fresh. Now I'm gonna go. I want to run through some chapters, and you could kind of give us maybe an overview, so people could, go get this book, Jas Prince, The Art and Science of Respect. There's a chapter here called Murder Inc.
Yeah, Murder Inc. consists of a chapter, the brother Seven. I don't know if y'all familiar with
The
Seven.
songwriter.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
a producer. And Seven was a guy that was homeless in L.A. who I met through Tyron. Tyron is the guy, menace to society. But anyway, he introduced me to Seven. I brought Seven to Houston. And Seven, well, a girl was going to be in a Ja Rule video. She asked me to help her go and attend that video. And I told her, I said, go ahead and let him listen to your music, because her and Seven had been doing some things. So when she came back, she told me, she reported to me, Irv kept asking me who done this music. So therefore, you know what I mean, I peep game. I say, oh, this man interested not so much in your voice, but who done the music. So I say, tell him Seven, give him Seven information. And a long story short, he flew Seven in. Seven done, I think, the first thing, he done like 9 songs on Ja Rule album. And I'm sitting back, I'm like, whoa, that's pretty nice, Nobody talked to me.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean? But I'm like, oh, I won't say nothing until, you know what I mean, this is done.
Wait for the cash register to ring up.
Yeah, just in case they didn't want to.
Oh, y'all sitting on 10 million.
I hear something over there.
Yeah, so after the 9, I got ready to stick my head up a little bit, and I say, she told me, now they working on the Shante. So he went and done 11 songs on the Shante. And at
That's
that
20
point,
songs.
Yeah.
Good job out of you, bro.
Yeah.
That's a lot of songs.
So after that point, I called the homies up, and Preem and Chris came down to Houston, came to the ranch, and we talked business, and came to a agreement for me to get paid.
Very nice. So, now
Worked out.
it worked out nice. Now, Pimp C and Master P.
Yeah.
That was a problematic situation.
Yeah, that was a situation where, Pimp and P had some drama. Pimp called me up, and, he and I got in business together, because both of them are my friends. Master P is a friend of mine, somebody that, I've been inspired over the years. And basically, I called P and let him know that C was with me, and it won't be no more disrespect going back and forth.
So another situation that you made sure things didn't escalate. Now, I'm sure somewhere, we see this often in movies, because nobody in this room has lived the life you have, right? But
You don't know my life before I got here.
I do actually. But sometimes these rap hip hop skirmishes mess up the greater business. I mean, you have a chapter in here called East versus West, and I definitely remember during that time.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to book artists. Nobody wanted to do tours. And people were scared, and obviously we lost.
Right.
Pac and B.I.G., even though it wasn't really East-West, but the media termed it that way. It was really Bad Boy Death Row. But talk about that chapter in this book.
Yeah. Well, to me, that's a chapter that ties into even what's taking place today. This was a situation that was brewing that nobody really spoke up on and tried.
Right, because this Pusha T thing been happening since 2001 with Wayne and Pharrell and this and that and back and forth.
So everybody sit back and want to watch the movie. And then the next thing you know, there's some funerals. There's some real life situations come about because you don't, nobody say, okay, this is past music. You know what I mean? So the East Coast versus the West Coast, you know, in that chapter, I wrote about a few things because, you know, the homie Jimmy Henchman, the homie Puffy came down to Houston, wanted me to mediate a meeting with them and Suge. And, you know, I wrote in my book, that was a hard one for me to take on because, you know, the information that was flying back and forth. And, you know, I don't believe in standing in a situation where mixed messages is taking place, you know what I mean? Because I want to be in the right when I take a stand. So I couldn't mediate that one, you know what I mean? And I wrote about why in the book I couldn't, and there we have it.
What about, do you get into, in the book, do you get into the night that Bushwick Bill shot himself?
I don't know if I spoke about that night, but I will.
Yeah, tell us about what the hell happened and how the news got to you.
Yeah, I was woken up out of my sleep about 4 or 5 in the morning. Bushwick had got real full off that Everclear.
The Everclear.
He loved that Everclear.
Yeah, straight, you know what I mean? And I heard, you know, he done a few bottles of that Everclear and went home and wanted this girl to shoot him. You know what I mean? Shoot me in the head. And she didn't want to shoot him in the head.
Wow.
So Bushwick grabbed a little baby and threatened to throw the little baby out the window. You know, that video we done was real. It was true.
Forever So Clear?
Yeah, yeah. And he had the pistol in his hand. And ultimately, he was, you know, trying to get the girl to shoot him. The gun went off and shot him in the eye.
You know, I was at Complex Con last year.
You saw Bill, right?
And I hung out with Bushwick Bill. And so, after a while, you haven't seen people. I ain't seen Bushwick Bill since the 90s, right? And so, you know, like when you don't know how to find somebody or you don't hear from him, you're like, and especially if you know Bushwick Bill, you laughing. You're like, yo, is he still with us? Is he alive? Is he dead? So I see him and I'm like, is that Bushwick Bill? I thought they shot. Yeah. He's still alive. Talking crazy, you know, in the Chronic album where he's like, "It is I, says me, and those who agree are more than three." That's how he talks in real life.
Yeah,
he's always been a wild boy. That's just who.
Yeah, live and uncut, man. Live and uncut.
Who was between the three of them? What was the most complicated dynamic?
Oh man, that whole situation. You know, you're dealing with 3 individuals with really different personalities, and from what I'm told, I was the only one that could, like, balance that together. You know, the people that's working with them now say, man, you need a Grammy Award. I don't know how you done it. So these dudes was, they all complicated in their own right.
Do you know Face the best?
Well, I know all of them pretty well, but Willie D is from Fifth Ward.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But, you know, Face is, he's a different kind of guy, you know.
He is. He's interesting, man.
Yeah, he all over the place. Great guy.
Y'all play? You ever play golf with Faye?
No, I hadn't graduated on the golf course. Yeah. Man, I got a brand new set of clubs. Been sitting in my office for like 20 years.
You seem like a golf man. I could just picture you out there with a cigar on the golf course.
I heard it's such an addictive thing until I'm scared to play.
No, it's amazing, but it's good because, I mean, I speak from playing. It's calming. It's you versus the course. It's very, you know what I mean? It's actually a good addiction if you could balance it out. You know what I mean? Because it definitely keeps you out the street because you out there all day. You know what I mean? And if it's hot out, you ain't drinking that much, so you could be sitting up in some AC drinking. You hot out there, you're going to chill on the drinking a little bit too.
Right.
Also in this book, United States of America versus James Prince.
Yeah.
There was some back and forth, and they tried to get into your money and history, and and really try to hold your feet to the fire. And how much detail do we get in this book?
Oh, you get a lot of detail. You know what I mean? It been an ongoing battle with me and the Alphabet Boys and the Houston Police Department. That happened for a long time in my career. You know, where they were trying to destroy, you know, my movement. Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to cut your train of thought, but I see this often, right, in my time in media, where you've made a transition into doing some business that is legitimate, right? You paying your taxes, but your ability to influence things that they want control over is why they're really on your neck.
That, and I think it was a mental thing. You know what I mean? I'm a leader. I think a certain way. I move a certain way. I don't think they like my whole mind frame of how I was inspiring brothers and changing brothers' lives, you know, in Houston and around the world. So, you know, it was a full-blown conspiracy, I believe, to not only arrest me but kill me. You know what I mean? They put a guy on me that had killed 8 people, you know, and 2 of them actually. And just recently,
when you say on you, like they was in your vicinity, they was in your trying to be hanger-oners.
Yeah, I'm talking about a full-blown watching me, arresting, beating up, threatening. You know what I mean? People that work for me. You know, this was a real thing going on in my hood, and arresting and destroying lives. You know, these was 2 agents. I call them gangster agents because recently one of them has just been indicted on 3 charges on the very thing that I put the spotlight on over a decade ago. They just caught up with him, Chad Scott. You can read about it.
Wow, so these dudes came, started messing with everything you and Rap-A-Lot was.
Oh yeah.
And then after getting out of it, you kept your eye on what's happened with these guys.
Oh yeah. I was the reason a lot of things happened with them, you know, such as one of them was reprimanded, one of them was put on a desk job because I went to Washington, D.C. I was in fear of my life, you know what I mean, and I wanted to be documented just in case I had to protect my life. So I went in Washington, D.C. in front of the FBI, DEA, you know what I mean, CIA, and this was a meeting that was arranged by Janet Reno and Maxine Waters. You know what I mean? I wanted to put it on notice, and I did. And by the time I made it home, they went in these guys' lockers and found Rap-A-Lot pieces and different things that.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
So that alone that needs to be a movie in and of itself.
Oh yeah, it's real.
Will there be a movie?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, and this will be a Rap-A-Lot movie.
Well, I hadn't decided if I want to go with Rap-A-Lot, me, Ghetto Boys, but you know.
Now, you know, with the way things are playing out,
Yeah.
it sounds like this is a multi-season
Serious?
HBO or Netflix situation. You know what I mean? It can't just be a
documentary.
one. We can't get this done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel
Well, it
like
depends well, we should talk about this off the air, but I see another way that you could approach it. It's about getting specific. You know what I'm saying? Because there's multiple stories here. There's the overall Jas Prince story. There's the Rap-A-Lot music story. But then there's zooming in specifically
police corruption story.
on the dude in Houston running a successful label dealing with the corruption of government that you could hone in on as one specific story. So that's amazing.
Are you proud of what you're seeing someone like a Colin Kaepernick, a Meek Mill, you know, Jay-Z obviously, being able, you know, because what you're talking about from 10, 20 years ago is what these guys are saying is happening still and still continue to put a spotlight. Does that make you proud? That
Yeah, most definitely. And beginning with the homie, you know, Jay-Z, you know, I got a lot of respect for him. You know, he and I done Andre Ward together. But, you know, for him to be standing up, the way I saw him stand up for Meek Mills, set him apart from any other sport organization. You know what I mean? And brothers need to observe that because sometimes things happen outside of the ring or outside of the field, the court, and you need a real one standing behind you. And for him to put it all on the line and be like, you know, I'm with Meek by his actions, not words, but his actions set him apart from all of them.
You think do you think Jay is just in general in hip hop the greatest?
Yeah, I definitely think he's one of the greatest. You know what I mean? It's a lot of greats, but he's in a class by himself, and I respect the brother.
What do you, as a businessman and somebody whose son is involved in the music business, and you've signed a lot of artists, right? We hear a lot to do about Birdman and Wayne's label dealings and splits and people owing money. I'm sure you don't know the particulars, but what can you enlighten us on with regard to a lot of these contracts? Because you also have to deal with Cash Money because of, or your son does,
right,
and indirectly you because of the Drake relationship.
It's no secret right now that we're at odds where my son money is concerned. You know what I mean? Of course, some have been given, and all of it's gonna have to be given. The thing is, like, Cash Money is like extended family of mine. You know what I mean? These are guys that's down from the South, where I'm from, that I got love for. I think, I can't speak for the other situations, but I think where we are concerned, it's a situation where they don't really have it. They done went through it. And now, I'm on a road of having a conversation with Universal directly, and I think it's going to be resolved real soon.
So you're feeling like Baby and those guys haven't got it from the label, or the money just has been spent?
Yeah, I think they mismanaged the money. You know what I mean? And it ain't no excuse. You know what I mean? There ain't no excuse, definitely where mine is concerned. But that's what I believe happened, where we're concerned. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to pay us our money.
It's very interesting to me and sort of refreshing to hear someone talk about a situation that involves money not being handled properly, yet talking about it in a way where you still have love for the people you're dealing with. Because normally that's the line where it never is okay again.
Right.
And it seems like now granted, you're wealthy, so that can ease some of the pressure of dealing with those things.
Yeah.
But that's still refreshing to hear someone who's able to calmly sort of go through that.
Yeah, no, that's because it's deeper than money where we're concerned. You know what I mean? And I hate that I have to even be having this conversation. And someday, you know what I mean, I believe we're going to be able to reunite and get past this. You know what I mean? I'm really hoping that's the case because, it's hard for me to allow people to take something from me.
Listen, the art and science of respect. You're a very respected individual, and put in a lot of time in this game. Is there anything for young people? I don't know how much you're on social media or what you actually see, but I know it's at my age, at 43, it's hard for me to see some of this stuff that we see young people doing with the guns on social and telling on each other on social, and it's hard to see some of that stuff. I don't know if you have any advice, for young people out there.
No, I do. My book is The Art and Science of Respect. I think this word called respect have been diminished where the young people are concerned, and it would be a good thing, for them to read my book, because my book is full of information where wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is concerned, and respect.
Supreme mathematics.
Yeah, and also, it's blueprints, and I started with nothing, you know what I mean? And I figured out how to turn nothing into something, and I explain a lot of that in the book. And a lot of these guys, the young guys, I believe when a guy know better, he's supposed to do better. So it's some know better methods in my book, The Art and Science of Respect.
You guys, you can hear it in his voice and the stories. You should probably go get this. Jas Prince, I appreciate your honesty today and candor and all that, man. I really appreciate everything you've contributed to.
Yeah.
And I think everybody too will hear that, since you've been through some other dust-ups in hip-hop and some realer situation, probably now have a better insight and understanding of why you felt compelled to step into this.
Yeah, I'm a visionary, you know what I mean? I can see things before they take place. And this was one. This was a call. It's not a popular call, but you know what I mean? A lot of calls I made in life wasn't popular. I didn't get a standing ovation about them, but I knew it was the right thing to do.
Right things are often not popular.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful that we have your voice in this right now, because we seem to be, the game is infiltrated by people who may love certain aspects of it, but don't have enough. OG gets thrown around, but it's important to have actual OGs who can actually shed wisdom on people to help get through situations.
Now, privately though, you was watching that battle though. You was listening to them lyrics. You was like, "Woo! Don't lie, Jay." You was like, "Oh, they getting it in.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, but you know, I got threw off track immediately when I heard that disrespect.
Right.
You
stopped smiling.
It got less fun. It wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah, just immediately. I'm like, whoa, dude. You know what I mean? Because I know where he coming from.
Did you call Pusha's team?
I didn't call his team. Well, I spoke with his manager. Me and his manager have had a conversation, but I didn't reach out, and wasn't a situation where I imposed my will on them any kind of way. You know, I got a call from their side first. So,
With Kanye.
Yeah.
Got it. Jas Prince, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for him. Pick up the book, The Art and Science of Respect.